Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, the full version is available on Patreon. I'll be uploading all my content there going forward.
Chapter 1 1501 of the Sea Calendar, Middle of the Grand Line, Babylonian Kingdom. King Douglas Denver, the 13th king of the kingdom, was reading at his desk. Bright sunlight streamed through the French windows, illuminating the tulips on the table and making the king feel lazy, relaxed, and at ease. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. Suddenly, an anxious call came, and the palace steward, Kyle, hurriedly pushed open the door and came in. Prince Satan has gone to challenge the ferocious gorilla. Kyle, you should maintain the proper etiquette expected of the royal steward. The King of Denver frowned, leaned back in his chair, and changed to a more comfortable position. A comfortable posture. Suddenly, he froze, then jumped up, nearly knocking over the chair behind him. What did you say? My precious son Satan went to challenge a gorilla. A hint of surprise flashed across the King of Denver's face as he hurried toward the Royal Martial Arts area. Although we already knew he was exceptionally talented, it's still unbelievable that he dared to challenge a gorilla at the age of 6. Wait for me, Your Majesty. Kyle followed closely behind the King of Denver, his mind racing with unease. Shouldn't you be the one maintaining royal etiquette? Along the way, the palace guards bowed to their king, but the King of Denver didn't even have time to respond to their greetings before swiftly entering the arena's fighting area. In the very center of the arena, a shirtless little boy was facing off against a gorilla that was over 3 meters tall, while the cheers of the guards around him grew louder and louder. Go for it, Your Highness! Damn it, Satan Prince! Satan Prince, keep going, tear it to shreds! Titan, Satan's chief bodyguard, immediately came before the king and bowed. Should His Highness's challenge be abruptly ended? Please advise, Your Majesty. No need. The king waved his hand, rejecting the Titan's offer. I'm also curious to see how far he can go now. In the arena, Satan stood taut, his legs slightly bent, poised to leap at any moment. The height difference between them was too great, the over 3-meter-tall gorilla was a colossus to him. If he couldn't utilize his speed advantage, defeat was inevitable. The gorilla stared at the tiny creature in front of it, let out a threatening roar, and pounced. Satan took a deep breath and leaped diagonally to the right, narrowly avoiding the gorilla's attack. A deafening boom resounded as the ground beneath the gorilla's slam instantly caved in, creating a half-meter-deep crater and sending rubble flying. Satan's eye twitched, the beast's strength was immense, being hit by it would surely break his bones. The gorilla launched a frenzied attack, and the arena echoed with continuous booming sounds. The ground shattered into craters of varying sizes and depths, and the dust kicked up created a mist that obscured the view of those outside the arena. Satan could only struggle to dodge the storm of attacks, repeatedly narrowly avoiding the gorilla's punches. Suddenly, a figure flew out of the dust and smoke in the arena and crashed hard into the artificial hill next to it, making a loud noise and creating a human-shaped crater in the hill. Oh, Prince Satan, are you all right? Cheer up, Your Highness! The cheers of the guards could be heard from outside the arena. The King of Denver felt a surge of tension, but he didn't stop the challenge from continuing. He didn't believe his precious son would give up so easily. The stones around the human-shaped pit on the artificial hill shattered, and Satan, embedded in the stones, jumped out. You beast, you've angered me! Satan's eyes suddenly turned ferocious, his lips curled up as if in a smile, and his blood-stained face contorted in the sunlight. I'm a man destined to rule the seas, how could I possibly lose to a beast like you here? He clenched his fists and walked step by step toward the gorilla. His small figure carried a certain intimidating aura as he approached. The gorilla seemed to be suddenly frightened, and in the face of the approaching Satan, it retreated step by step, as if it had encountered its natural enemy. A golden dragon-shaped inscription gradually emerged on Satan's chest. His blood began to flow rapidly, wisps of mist rising from his body. His muscles bulged, and his strength instantly multiplied several times. The numerous wounds on his body healed at a visible speed, returning to normal in the blink of an eye, and his aura was even stronger than before. He stomped his foot, vanished from his spot in the next second, and reappeared in front of the gorilla with lightning speed. He punched the massive beast in the stomach, sending it flying, and relentlessly pursued it, his fists slamming into the gorilla's body, blood splattering everywhere. The sounds of bones breaking and tendons snapping, along with the tearing thud of tattered silk, echoed throughout the arena. Oh my god, what happened? How did Prince Satan suddenly gain the upper hand? A guard exclaimed in surprise. Stunning, aren't you? Rumor has it that the Douglas royal family possesses a portion of dragon blood. It's said that adult members of the royal family can awaken their dragon blood, gaining a dragon-like physique, with greatly increased strength, speed, and stamina, becoming top-tier powerhouses on the seas. Your Highness must have awakened your bloodline prematurely, which is why you've become so much stronger overnight. A guard who knew the inside story kindly explained. That's incredible. You know, it takes a squad of 30 soldiers to defeat a gorilla, and your Highness is only 6 years old. A loud crash echoed through the arena as Satan lifted the gorilla by the leg and slammed it to the ground. The gorilla's bones were broken, and it was on the verge of death, its eyes filled with a human-like pleading expression. A wicked smile crept across Satan's face. He stomped the ground and leaped high into the air, landing a crushing blow on the gorilla's neck, ending its agonizing life with a crack. Blood splattered all over his trouser leg, turning it a deep crimson. A wave of screams and cheers erupted from the guards outside the arena. Satan, in a daze, suddenly collapsed onto the gorilla's corpse, his legs giving way. Finally, I've gained some basic fighting power in the world of One Piece. It's been tough. Actually, Satan didn't originally belong to this world. To be precise, his soul came from Earth and inexplicably merged into the body of the newly born Satan in this world. When he realized that he had transmigrated into his favorite One Piece world, his soul trembled with excitement. Knowing that this was a pirate world overrun by monsters, he had to work hard to strengthen his physique from a young age in order to live a fulfilling life and make a name for himself in an era of rising heroes on the seas. Fortunately, the body he was born into belonged to the Douglas royal family, and his dragon bloodline made him well suited for cultivation, allowing him to lay a solid foundation for future power. Chapter 2. Well done, son. The King of Denver rushed into the arena, grabbed Satan in his arms, and completely disregarded the fact that Satan's blood had stained his clothes. You are my pride, my darling. The King of Denver gently kissed Satan's forehead, lifting him high above his head. Sunlight bathed them, creating a halo around them, making even the surrounding stench of blood seem pleasant. The cheers around him suddenly rose in volume. Satan opened his eyes, snapping out of his daze between the world of the living and the world of the dead. He stretched out his arms and embraced the lovely air and sunlight, shouting loudly. Father, I will definitely become a renowned figure throughout the world, and make the Tulip Douglas family the undisputed rulers of the seas. Well, I believe you will definitely become a renowned and powerful figure. Denver smiled and let go of Satan. But first, you need to take a shower, change into your tuxedo, and get ready for your birthday party. Dad has prepared a wonderful gift for you, a huge surprise. Meanwhile, near Amsterdam, a port city in the Babylonian kingdom, a wooden sailboat was sailing recklessly. Despite being a wooden boat, it had 4 floors, with the deck 7 or 8 meters above the sea. The bow was shaped like a crocodile, and the crocodile's ram was covered with thick iron plates. If a battle broke out, it would surely cause enormous damage to other ships. The ship is over 80 meters long, making it a fairly large flagship. Unfortunately, the deck is covered with a dense network of crisscrossing wounds, with some areas having completely lost the deck railings, and even a large portion of the stern lookout tower is missing. Importantly, the skull and crossbones flag with a crocodile background on the mainmast clearly indicates that this is a pirate ship. Men, speed things up. On the second floor of the ship, a hideous pirate covered in flabby flesh brandished a nearly 2-meter-long katana and shouted loudly. "We're almost at Amsterdam port. Polish your swords, prepare your guns and cannons, we're about to pull off a big heist." "Yes, Captain Soya." The pirates' faces contorted in a ferocious, blood-soaked expression as they brandished their swords and spears, shouting and yelling. Ordinary people have been prohibited from passing through the largest berth in the port of Amsterdam, and other merchant ships have been notified to enter the port through other berths. Hundreds of royal soldiers are lined up in neat honor guards to welcome the arrival of a great figure. On a ship flying the world government flag, a man in his 30s, dressed in a suit, was disembarking under the escort of his entourage. He descended the steps along the laid-out red carpet, a satisfied expression on his face. He was none other than the younger brother of the current king of the Babylonian kingdom, a high-ranking official of the world government, the strongest member of the Douglas family, known as Dragon Douglas Mayunga. Just as Mingjia was overjoyed to be back in his homeland, a series of booming cannon shells shattered his good mood. His face instantly darkened. "Where is the shelling coming from?" "A pirate ship has invaded, Your Highness Minga," the lookout shouted from the observation room atop the mainmast. "The pirate flag belongs to the crocodile pirates. They have 2 wanted criminals, Captain Ogre Zoya, with a bounty of 43 million berries, and first mate bloodthirsty hunter Grib, with a bounty of 30 million berries." "TCH, Mingjia said dismissively, nobody I've never heard of dares to cause trouble in Amsterdam." On the pirate ship, Captain Zoya was directing his men to fire the cannons, "Give them a good blast. Let them know how powerful the crocodile pirates are." "Yes, Captain Soya." The pirate henchmen ran around haphazardly on the deck, lifting their cannon covers, adjusting the muzzles, and unleashing a barrage of scorching black shells toward the harbor. However, most of them missed, only creating small splashes on the sea surface. "Hey, look! Someone's running across the sea," a pirate henchman suddenly exclaimed in surprise. "How is that possible?" The other pirates questioned in disbelief. But the next second they were shocked by what they saw with their own eyes and began to clamor. On the sea, a little girl of about 10 years old was seen rushing towards the pirate ship. She nimbly weaved through the cannon fire, and the sea water she stepped on froze into ice. Even the spray from the cannonballs was frozen into messy icicles behind her. She was incredibly fast, and in the blink of an eye, she rushed through the artillery barrage and approached the pirate ship. When she was about 30 meters away from the pirate ship, she stomped her foot, leaped into the air, and landed on the pirate ship's menacing crocodile ramming horn with a front flip. "Do you scum dare to act so recklessly in the port of Amsterdam?" The little girl held a long sword almost as tall as herself in one hand, and with the other hand she brushed her sky-blue bangs back from her forehead, asking disdainfully, as if her hairstyle was less important than the ship full of vicious pirates before her. "Kid, you're too arrogant." The pirate captain was completely enraged by the little girl's disdainful attitude. He pushed aside his subordinates who were surrounding him and walked towards the bow of the ship, drawing the katana that was resting at his waist as he went. "I'm Soya, the cannibal with a bounty of 43 million. I'm going to use your body as a snack with my drinks." The little girl seemed disgusted by Soya's words. She frowned, waved her hand, and several long ice spears materialized in mid-air beside her. "You have invaded the territory of the Babylonian kingdom. I, Princess Douglas's Death of Babylon, hereby sentence you to death." With that, Esteth swung her longsword, and the ice spears hovering around her shot towards the pirates on the ship. Soya swung his sword to deflect the spear aimed at him, but the force of the spear forced him to stagger backward. The next moment, he was horrified by the sight around him. Although he had blocked the ice spear, most of his men had not escaped this calamity. Many pirates were pinned to the deck wood by spears, their fist-sized wounds bursting open and blood splattering everywhere. Those who died instantly were considered lucky. Those who were pinned to non-lethal positions let out heart-wrenching screams, but dared not move an inch. The slightest movement would cause secondary trauma to their wounds, gushing out more blood and producing even more piercing cries. A demon! How terrifying! The surviving pirates retreated in terror, some screaming and shouting as if they were insane, and some even turned and ran, jumping into the sea, wanting to get as far away from this devilish little girl as possible. The scalding blood sizzled as it hit the ice spear, releasing a strong, fishy stench. Esteth inhaled the almost solidified blood in the air, a look of enjoyment on her face, and charged toward the surviving pirates with her long sword in hand. That's it, it's this blood and screams that give people such irresistible pleasure. Chapter 3. The water ripples gently, the sunlight is intense. The ice floes off the coast of Amsterdam sparkle brilliantly under the direct sunlight, like scattered diamonds. However, the sounds of fighting coming from the pirate ship not far away, along with the screams that mingled with the noise, shattered the tranquility of the moment. Esteth flitted about on the pirate ship like a butterfly, cutting down pirates who stood in her way. The enraged pirate captain, Zoa, wielding a katana, relentlessly pursued her from behind, unleashing a series of fierce slashes, but she nimbly dodged them all, only managing to further ravage the already dilapidated deck. Esteth dodged Zoa's attack again and was about to kill a pirate in front of her when her sword was blocked by a steel claw. It was the pirate crew's vice-captain, blood hunter Grib. Grib's right-hand steel claw blocked Esteth's attack, while his left claw slashed fiercely at her head, creating a series of tearing sounds as it went. Meanwhile, Zoya, who was chasing from behind, took the opportunity to close the distance and slashed horizontally with his sword. Esteth ducked to dodge Grib's attack, then used her sword to block Zoya's slash, using the force of his blade to propel herself away and create distance. Anyway, the underlings are mostly dealt with. Now, let me perform the ritual to send you all to the afterlife. Zoya straightened up, slung the great sword over his shoulder, licked his dry lips, and his eyes flashed with a terrifying glint. Little brat, I'll tear you to pieces. Your tender little body must taste incredibly delicious. No, Captain, we've already suffered enough losses. You can't eat her. She's a princess, after all. If we capture her, we can extort enough berries to make up for our losses. That's what First Mate Grib said. Let's grab it first and talk about it later. Captain Soya attacked Esteth again, with Grib following closely behind, preparing to join forces to capture her. This time, Esteth did not dodge Zoa's slashes. Instead, she charged forward with her sword. Instantly, the sound of clashing swords filled the deck. Although Esteth was small, she was able to hold her own against the pirate Zoa. The two exchanged blows with great skill and flair, and streaks of sword energy occasionally emanated from their battle, leaving deep cuts on the deck. Meanwhile, Grib secretly moved around the two men's battle circle, clearly preparing to launch another sneak attack at the right opportunity. Just then, a black figure flashed like lightning and appeared in front of Grib. With a whip kick, Grib, who was about to launch a sneak attack, was sent flying. He crashed through several layers of ship planks and landed on the distant ice with a loud boom, even cracking the already frozen sea surface. Gribbu was stuck in the ice, his eyes bulging, coughing up mouthfuls of blood, his face filled with astonishment. He struggled to climb out of the broken ice, but after several attempts, he was powerless. It was as if his body had become a broken rag doll, no longer belonging to him. Finally, he fainted in shock, his fate unknown. A black figure flashed past, incapacitating bloodshot hunter Grib with a single, ferocious whip kick that rendered him, with a bounty of 30 million berries, powerless. The next second, he reappeared on the mainmast of the pirate ship, which was 30 or 40 meters high. He was dressed in a suit and tie, with his hands in his pockets and a calm and composed expression. He was none other than Douglas Mayaga, the strongest member of the Douglas family and a high-ranking official of the world government, who had just arrived at the port of Amsterdam. "How dare you interrupt my niece's battle? You ill-mannered scum, you deserve to die." Mayaga leaned down and sat on the mainmast, casually watching Esteth and Zoya's battle below, as if their life-or-death struggle was nothing more than a child's game to him. The battle below intensified, with sword energy crisscrossing and killing intent overflowing. Zoya, as expected of a ruthless pirate who had sailed the Grand Line, was experienced and cunning through numerous battles. His methods were cruel, and he frequently used desperate moves, inflicting massive damage on Esteth even without dodging her attacks. This left even the highly skilled Esteth in a stalemate. "Hey! Esteth, get serious and finish this fight already, or we'll miss your brother's birthday party." Mingjia watched their fight and yawned in boredom. The two below clashed swords again, but were deflected by the opponent's force and pulled out of the battle. "Stop talking nonsense." Esteth glanced up at Mayaga above, but then casually sheathed her long sword. "Have you finally given up, little girl?" Zoya, on the other side, also heard Mayaga's words. Clearly, Mayaga's kick that crippled Grib had greatly intimidated him. He no longer dared to boast about tearing Esteth apart. Now, he was simply incredibly lucky to have escaped with his life. "If you let me go, I promise I'll leave immediately and never come to Babylon again. How about we call it even? To wipe the slate clean? To let you go?" Esteth squinted, a wicked smile spreading across her face. "What do you take the Tulip Douglas family for? Do you really think our family's territory is something that just any Tom, DK, or Harry can invade at will?" She took a few steps back and pointed at Zoya. "Besides, someone like you, I could easily deal with even without Uncle Mingjia's help. I only exchanged a few blows with you to hone my swordsmanship. Things won't be so easy from here on out." With that, she stomped her foot, leaped into the air, and shouted, "Die, Icethorn jungle!" The sea surface instantly boiled, and countless icicles rose from the surface, easily piercing the ship's planks and attacking Zoya. Zoya's eyes widened in horror as he frantically tried to defend and dodge, but the attacks from the icy thorn jungle seemed endless. Wave after wave of ice spikes relentlessly tore at his skin, pierced his body, and drew out strings of bright red blood. Finally, Zoya exhausted his strength and could no longer dodge the piercing ice spikes. In an instant, one huge ice spike after another pierced his chest, and his body hung high in the air. Large amounts of blood were splattered on the ice, turning the bright ice thorn forest under the sunlight into a dazzling crimson stain. With Zoya's death, the seemingly endlessly stretching ice thorn jungle also stopped growing, and at this time, the once huge pirate ship was cut into scattered pieces of planks by sharp ice spikes. The blood-stained ice clusters shimmered with bizarre, glassy colors under the sunlight. "Icethorn jungle? What a beautiful yet dangerous move." Mingjia landed from the height and looked at the chaotic battlefield before him, and couldn't help but praise it. Chapter 4. The Grand Line is renowned for its unpredictable weather. Sometimes it snows heavily, sometimes it pours rain, and sometimes it's accompanied by thunder and lightning. It's even possible that one moment the sky is clear and the next, towering waves will appear. Countless seafaring heroes have perished on the grand seas, their lives shattered by the overwhelming power of the Grand Line. Yet, countless more adventurers continue to plunge into the ocean, forging their own legends. This is the allure of the Grand Line, and the legend of sea adventurers pursuing their free spirits. However, the large island of Rain, where the Babylonian kingdom is located, is a famous spring island on the Grand Line, with a spring-like climate all year round and picturesque scenery. It is an important node and cargo distribution center on the Grand Line. This region gave rise to Amsterdam, a port city that prospered due to its freight trade, Heisenberg, a culinary capital with a large number of top chefs, and the proud capital of Babylon, known as the Hanging Gardens. A small family gathering is underway in the royal garden of White Dragon City. The maids came and went, serving up plates of exquisite delicacies and then retreating in an orderly fashion. At that moment, a little boy of about 6 years old, dressed in elaborate attire, entered from the corridor. The maids who were preparing around him bowed in greeting. The newcomer was none other than His Highness Satan, the only prince of the Babylonian kingdom. He walked in, wearing a well-fitting white tuxedo, hands in his pockets. The bright sunlight gently shone on his fine, dark hair, creating soft dappled patterns. Wearing gold-rimmed glasses, he exuded a refined air, a far cry from the madness and arrogance he displayed in the arena. A polite and harmless smile graced his face as he meticulously responded to the maid's greetings. At this moment, King Denver and his uncle Minga also arrived at the meeting hall. As soon as Mingjia entered, he saw Satan, appeared beside him in a flash, picked him up, and pinched the baby fat on his face with his other hand, laughing heartily. "Did you miss me, little Satan? I specially came all this way to attend your birthday party." Satan grinned helplessly. "That's the downside of being reborn as a child. You're completely powerless to resist the unreasonable abuse of your elders. Put me down, Uncle Minga. I'm not a little kid anymore. And don't pinch my cheeks again, or I'll bite." He bared his white teeth, revealing a fierce expression, as if he might bite someone at any moment. He tried to struggle free from Mingjia's embrace, but to no avail, and could only say helplessly and angrily, "Ha ha ha." The King of Denver and Minga couldn't help but burst into laughter. "You still say you're not a child? Only children bite." Mingjia laughed as she exaggeratedly waved her arms. Satan seized the opportunity to escape his embrace, giving him a big eye roll. A chill involuntarily ran down his spine, and a question began to creep into his mind: had he been a child for so long that even his heart had been assimilated by his childlike body? How terrifying! The family sat down at the dining table. Satan looked around and asked curiously, "Uncle Mingjia, didn't my sister go to the port to pick you up? Didn't she come back with you?" "Your sister? She just wiped out a second-rate pirate crew all by herself. She's way stronger than you. She should go change her clothes now," Mingjia teased. "After all, you wouldn't want your birthday party to be filled with blood, would you, little Satan?" "Cut." Satan shrugged unhappily, picked at his ear with his finger, removed non-existent earwax, and then casually replied, "I tried my best too, but my sister's innate ability to control ice is truly despair-inducing. She's just so cold, she always refuses to make me ice cream." Satan muttered angrily. "However, I will surpass her someday. I will definitely become someone even more powerful than my sister. When that happens, I'll make her obediently make ice cream for me with ice. Only then can I be considered a true man of the Douglas family." Cough cough. Before Satan could finish speaking, an ice spike suddenly shot out from the wine in front of him and was pressed against his throat. Startled, he stopped abruptly, and Estetha's cold voice came from behind him. "Little Satan, you've been naughty again. Looks like I'll have to send you to cool off in the ice." "No, sis." Satan quickly raised his hands in surrender. "You must be hallucinating. I said you are as beautiful as a flower, with skin as white as snow." "Humph," glib-tongued. Estetha sat down next to Satan, and with a wave of her hand, the ice spikes in front of Satan turned into ice crystals and dissipated into the air. Satan was covered in cold sweat. What an arrogant personality! Sure enough, whether a great beauty or a petite beauty, what they care about most is their appearance, and they are most susceptible to flattery based on beauty. A wicked grin of triumph spread across his face. At this moment, King Denver clapped his hands, drawing his family's attention to himself. "All right, everyone's here. Now, present the gifts." 2 guards presented 2 trays, one for each of them. Denver took a sword from the first tray and handed it to Estetha. "This is the sword your father specially chose for you, the one that suits you best. The beautiful sword Durandal. Estetha accepted the beautiful sword Durandal, a renowned ceremonial sword of noble rank, 1.26 meters long. The scabbard was cast in gold and inlaid with several dazzling diamonds, emitting a magnificent and dazzling light. At the top of the hilt was a sapphire the size of a pigeon's egg, which shone brilliantly in the sunlight, exuding royal elegance. She drew the sword, and saw that it was double-edged, with a chaotic pattern of small T-shaped patterns all over the body. The blade was so sharp that the air it refracted seemed to drop in temperature. It was indeed her most beloved sword. Tisk tisk tisk! What a grand gesture! Durndal, one of the 21 great swords, truly suits your style, Esteth. Mayaga watched with great interest. After all, the only universally recognized famous swords in the world are the 12 supreme grade swords, the 21 great grade swords, and the 50 excellent grade swords. And most of them belong to those swordsmen who are famous all over the world, so the appearance of any unclaimed famous sword will cause a sensation. The King of Denver's act of giving his daughter a large knife as a gift can definitely be described as extravagant. Satan was shocked by his sister's gift, followed by a surge of smug delight. After all, if she was giving his sister such amazing gifts, surely the presenter he received today wouldn't be any less impressive. Just then, the King of Denver handed Satan a second gift, a small, exquisitely wrapped box. Satan cautiously opened the box, and was instantly shocked, his mouth agape. Inside was a strange, pale red fruit covered with spiral patterns, shaped like a pineapple. This is the ocean's secret treasure, a devil fruit. Chapter 5. Devil fruits are unique treasures found at sea in the world of One Piece. Eating one grants the user superpowers, allowing them to become a devil fruit user. Devil fruits can be divided into 3 main categories based on the abilities they grant: Logia, Zoan, and Paramecia. Logia-type devil fruits allow the user's body to become a natural substance, or phenomenon, rendering physical attacks ineffective. They are widely considered the strongest of the 3 types, nearly invincible. Paramecia-type devil fruits grant the user special abilities, which vary widely but mostly fall into 2 categories: body deformation and affecting things the body touches. Unlike Logia-type devil fruits, their essence remains human and cannot be changed. Zoan-type devil fruits allow users to transform into animals, with 3 main transformations: human, beast, and hybrid. Since Zoan-type fruits only enhance the physical body, some believe they are the strongest in close quarters combat. However, all devil fruit users share a common weakness: after consuming a devil fruit, they become landlubbers cursed by the sea, fearing sea water. Despite its weakness, any devil fruit that grants superhuman strength to the user commands a price of at least 100 million berries on the black market. Some special devil fruits can even fetch astronomical prices of billions of berries. And right now, Satan had a devil fruit placed before him as a birthday gift, so it's no wonder he was so shocked. The King of Denver looked at his shocked son, a satisfied expression on his face. As everyone knows, the reason our Douglas family has produced so many powerful figures for generations is because we rely on the dragon bloodline passed down through generations. We are born with strong physiques, and with diligent training, we can reach the strength of a naval admiral. Furthermore, when combined with the dragon combat techniques of our bloodline, our power is amplified even further. However, this can only serve as the backbone of a family, not as a foundation for the continuation of a kingdom. The King of Denver continued, and Zoan-type devil fruits, which can greatly enhance physical strength, are perfect for you. This one is the Zoan-type bear fruit, which is top tier even among Zoan types. Consider it a gift for you. Thank you, Dad. Satan immediately thanked him. I witnessed your challenge today, and you managed to protect yourself to some extent. After you eat the devil fruit today, you'll need a week to adjust. After that, I'll send you and your sister to Naga Island, near the Calm Belt, to train for a few years. Before Satan could even offer his opinion, Uncle Minga exclaimed in surprise. You're really ruthless. They may be exceptionally talented and have some strength, but they're far too weak against an ancient island like Naga Island. They might die, brother. The king of Denver glanced at Minga and snorted in dissatisfaction. You also trained on Naga Island, so you should understand that only fierce battles between life and death can fully unleash their talents. Besides, if they can't even handle such a trial, it means they're nothing special. As he spoke, he turned to the Satan siblings and asked, "What are your opinions?" "No problem, I've been wanting to meet the monsters of the ancient island for a long time, I'm just afraid some people will be a burden." Usse answered without hesitation. "TCH, who knows who's the burden?" Satan scoffed. "I'm fine too." "Then it's decided, Myaga. I'll trouble you to escort them there. Also, the task of teaching dragon techniques is entrusted to you. I'll send titans to teach you the art of dominance a year from now. Don't let me down." "Okay. No problem." The siblings seemed completely unafraid of the ancient island trials. As night fell, Satan had been sitting motionless in front of the mirror for a full half-hour. He repeatedly picked up the devil fruit in front of him, mustered his courage to swallow it, but gave up each time. He stared at his handsome face in the mirror, his hair a jumbled mess, and yelled impatiently, "I want to get stronger quickly, but the thought of the price my handsome face turning into a fluffy bear's head makes me want to curse." Just as Satan was agonizing over whether or not to eat the devil fruit, a sudden change occurred. Several green vines suddenly sprouted from his hands and pierced into the devil fruit in front of him with lightning speed. A glug-glug swallowing sound came from the air. By the time Satan reacted, only a wrinkled peel remained of the devil fruit in front of him, lying on the table. The vines, after consuming the devil fruit, quickly retracted into Satan's body, as if nothing had happened. "Holy crap, what on earth happened?" Satan pinched his thigh in a daze, only the clear pain reminding him that what had just happened was not an illusion. "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. I can finally come out." A ball of green light burst forth from Satan's body, swirling around the room and letting out a wild roar. Satan was so startled that he fell to the ground. "What the hell is this? It's an illusion, it's all an illusion." Satan squeezed his eyes shut, sat on the ground and shuffled backward, muttering, "When I open my eyes again, nothing will have happened." He opened his eyes, and sure enough, nothing was there. The fruit was an illusion. Satan patted his chest, only to scream in shock at the sudden green light that fell in front of him. Damn it, what are you yelling for? I've lived inside you for 6 years, I even know what color your underwear is, what are you still yelling for?" Satan's screams abruptly stopped as he stared at the green light hovering in front of him. This is a little elf about 20 centimeters tall. He wears a set of clothes woven from lush green leaves, with layers of intricate and gorgeous patterns carved on it. His arms, calves, ankles, and other parts are adorned with nearly 10 different gorgeous ornaments, exuding an air of nobility. With its long, fluttering eyelashes, adorable big eyes, pert nose, delicate and sexy lips, long, pointed ears, exquisite face, and 3 pairs of transparent wings fluttering behind it, everything about it makes anyone who sees it fall head over heels in love. "But why a man?" Satan muttered to himself. "What did you say?" The little elf flapped its wings and approached Satan, its words carrying a strong sense of threat. "Elves, I know that, but how can you be a man?" Satan's words were full of disbelief. The little elf stared at Satan with a dark expression, hands on his hips, looking charming and cute, but the curses he unleashed the next second completely ruined his demeanor. "Go to hell, you stupid brat! What race doesn't have men? I'm the elven god of thieves, the lord of thieves, and I was born male. 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 I'll say it 3 times because it's important." Chapter 6. Satan sat at the table drinking a beverage, while the little elf Jakin was also holding a cup and drinking with relish. Clearly, Satan was no longer surprised by his presence. According to him, he is a chief god of the elven race in the divine realm, whose divine duty is to govern theft. No wonder he is so handsome but still has a roguish air about him. After all, he is the ancestor of professional bandits. The two main gods of the Chaos and Law factions in the divine realm waged a great war over the precious seed of the Tree of Life, but the spoils were stolen by the villainous Lord of Theft. What else is there to say? The audacious heretic was hunted down by the combined forces of the two major factions' main gods and utterly blasted into pieces. However, with the mentality of a thief never leaves empty-handed and the malice of if I can't have it, I won't let you have it either, a wisp of Jaken's remnant soul escaped into the space-time turbulence with the seed of the Tree of Life, and luckily descended upon the world of One Piece. During their journey through Earth and the world of Akame-ga-Kill, they also stole the souls of Satan and Esteth, causing them to also travel to the One Piece world. However, it seems that Esteth's soul suffered some damage, so only Satan retained complete memories of his past life. Having exhausted his divine power, the evil vision had no choice but to take the seed of the Tree of Life and reside within Satan's body. Over a long period of time, the seed of the Tree of Life sprouted within Satan, growing alongside him and gradually merging into one, granting Satan abundant vitality and terrifying healing abilities. Jaken, having become the spirit of the Tree of Life, was trapped within Satan's body until now, when he absorbed the power of the rules contained within the devil fruit and was finally released. As you said, am I now inseparable from the Tree of Life? The thought of having a tree inside me gives me the creeps. Stop acting all innocent after getting the benefit. The thought of you getting the Tree of Life that I worked so hard to obtain makes me want to stab you twice. As expected, Xiejian swore. Oh dear. Don't worry about it so much. You survived a great calamity and became the spirit of the Tree of Life, and now I am the Tree of Life. You can't live if you kill me. Satan comforted Shijian, saying that humans are always easily drawn to beautiful things, and Shijian's beauty was simply too deceptive, breathtakingly beautiful. After hearing Satan's words, Shijian couldn't help but feel discouraged. He flapped his wings and sat on Satan's hand, then burst into a crazy laugh. But the thought that those fools in the divine realm were ultimately tricked by me makes me incredibly happy. What a wicked personality! Satan thought to himself, giving him a headache just thinking about having to live with such an elf bandit day and night. Hey! Evil view, you keep saying the Tree of Life is a supreme treasure of the divine realm, but what exactly makes it so magical? Hehe, the wonder of the Tree of Life lies in its evolution. Its original form is a pure mass of wood essence, so as long as it devours a small part of any plant, it can evolve completely. And now, this ability has all gone to you, little brat. Hehe, that's perfect. Satan laughed sheepishly. However, because you have merged with the Tree of Life, wielding its power requires expending your physical strength. Therefore, the stronger your physique, the stronger your ability to evolve plants. Yes, I'm about to go to the ancient island of Naga for trials. I'll take the opportunity to diligently cultivate my physical skills and strengthen my physique. Furthermore, the Tree of Life contains its own internal space, essentially giving you a mobile warehouse. However, by the same token, the stronger your physique, the more vigorous the Tree of Life's vitality, and the larger its storage space will be. Fantastic! Satan was extremely excited, only those who have ever found money know the joy he felt. However, this isn't the biggest benefit for us. Xiejian looked at Satan with a smug expression, as if to say, beg me, and I'll tell you. Hey! Master Jaken, tell me already. Sure enough, Satan played along with his coquettish act, while inwardly feeling deeply ashamed of his own cuteness. But as long as one can obtain incredible benefits, what does integrity matter? Can it be eaten? Satan says he doesn't know. Since you've asked so sincerely, I'll mercifully tell you. Having satisfied his wicked view, he said with an arrogant expression. Because I shared your memories before, as long as a devil fruit provides the power of rules, I can use life magic to create other two-dimensional characters from your memories. In other words, with enough devil fruits, your favorite anime characters could come to life right in front of you. How about that, are you excited? Ah! Satan paused for a moment, then let out a long, drawn-out scream. I love you to death, Jaken. This is the surprise I've been dreaming of. I know. Your dream is to become a family with all your favorite anime characters, forming a powerful and fearsome clan. You understand me best, Shijian. Satan was moved to tears. TCH. That's because I shared your memories. Forward. Outside the window, the bright moon hangs high in the sky, the waves are calm, and the era of chivalrous heroes at sea is about to begin. When the Douglas family members learned that Satan had eaten the Paramecia-type wood fruit instead of the Zoan-type bear fruit, they were shocked. Could it be that devil fruits can mutate? The devil fruit encyclopedia must be so unreliable. The king of Denver was utterly exasperated and could only send people to collect various rare plants for his beloved son, hoping that Satan could better develop the fruit's power. On this day, Satan was studying the various rare plants that the king had collected for him in his room when suddenly, Titan, the captain of the guard, walked in. Your Highness Satan, there's news about the devil fruit auction you asked me to keep an eye on. There's a black market transaction in 3 days on Phuket Island, an auction hosted by the underground Hussein family, where 2 devil fruits will be auctioned. If we set off now, we'll make it in time. Okay, I understand. You can go now. Titan withdrew. Satan, you don't have the money to buy 2 devil fruits. What are you going to do? Give up. Ignorance is the root of all evil, Xiejian asked with ill intent. Give up? How could I? Besides. Satan revealed a sinister smile. Who told you I was going to pay, my dear god of thieves? Ha ha ha, this is the kind of devil I admire, Satan. Yes, we're going to pull off a heist secretly, so we can't bring any guards. However, the 2 of us can't handle it alone, we'll need some help from others. Whom are you planning to ask for help? Of course, it's my dearest older sister, Princess Death, who possesses both beauty and strength. I was startled by your cheesy flattery, but what's the point of you flattering her like this? She can't hear you anyway. Xiejian wiped away non-existent cold sweat. Stop talking nonsense, can't I just treat this as an advance rehearsal? Chapter 7. The Grand Line is dotted with numerous islands, but most of the large islands are home to member states under the world government. These islands not only possess formidable military strength and numerous powerful figures, but also have naval branch bases, making them unapproachable for ordinary pirate crews. The islands controlled and divided by various underground forces became the best choice for ordinary pirate crews to resupply and exchange intelligence. Because these islands were far from the control of the law, smuggling, black markets, and intelligence markets flourished. Assassination and robbery were commonplace. Phuket is an island secretly controlled by underground forces. To survive safely on such an island, the ability to read between the lines is an essential skill. Doyle is a native of Phuket who frequents various dock areas, pub streets, and underground auction houses, and often acts as a guide for foreign big spenders to make a little extra money. At this moment, a luxurious passenger ship arrived at Phuket Island. Tourists disembarked one after another, and pimps waiting in the pier area rushed forward to solicit customers. Death and Satan also disembarked in the crowd, but perhaps because they were too young and did not look like wealthy people, no one was willing to lead the way for them. Unlucky Doyle couldn't attract any other customers, so he reluctantly headed towards the Satan siblings, thinking that even if he only earned 50 berries, it would be enough to buy a large glass of dark beer at the pub, which was better than making a wasted trip. Welcome to Phuket, esteemed guests. Would you like a guide? Whether you'd like to buy information or post a bounty, I have the connections. Doyle asked with a sly smile, rubbing his hands together as if they were lambs to the slaughter. What, 2? It's 3. Do you think I don't exist? Before Satan could answer, Evil View, sitting on Satan's shoulder, went berserk. He flapped his wings, appeared in front of Doyle, slapped him, and then flew back in an instant. How dare you ignore my existence? You'll have to be taught a lesson. Doyle covered his face in astonishment, looking completely bewildered. You're so unremarkable, is that my fault? Of course, he would never dare to say that out loud. Have you forgotten why we're here? We need to keep a low profile before we take action. Understand? Satan glared at Sejun speechlessly, then turned back and tossed a stack of berries to Doyle with a grin. Take us to the auction house. Yes, yes, please follow me. Doyle led the way solicitously, thinking to himself that the young master was indeed more polite. Just as they were about to leave the dock area, a bald man over 2 meters tall led 7 or 8 thugs and blocked their way. Hey? He's the boss of the docks, Tiger Head Bro with an 8 million berry bounty. How did you get involved with them? That guy's a ruthless killer. As he spoke, Doyle backed away, seemingly prepared to make a quick getaway. Boss, it's that girl. I'm sure I'm not mistaken. She's holding Durandal, one of the 21 great swords. It's worth at least 50 million berries on the black market. A thug said to the bald man. Hey, you stole our boss's treasured sword and think you can just run away? Hand it over right now. Another thug shouted. That's right, hand it over right now. Or I'll tear you to pieces. A baby who's still not fully weaned dares to imitate adults and wield a sword. The other thugs made a noisy threatening noise. Ha ha ha, little girl, they call you little girl, Asteth, I can't stand it. Jakin stirred things up, never one to shy away from a good cause. Asteth narrowed her eyes, a dangerous glint in them, and placed her right hand on the hilt of her sword, seemingly preparing to strike. Wait, sister. Satan quickly stopped Asteth. A bunch of minor characters don't need your help, sister. Besides, I was just looking for an opportunity to try out my new ability. Leave it to me. Satan took 2 steps forward, pointed at the bald man, and said, I'll give you a chance. Get lost, or you'll be in for a rough time. The bald man twisted his neck threateningly, making a cracking sound. I'd like to see how you're going to treat me rudely. Heh, you asked for it, don't blame me. Satan pointed forward and shouted, Strangler. Countless vines burst forth from the ground around the thugs, sweeping towards them and wrapping around their ankles. The thugs struggled frantically to escape, but they could not break free from the vines' pursuit. They were all bound into the shape of dumplings, with bloody welts appearing on their faces, and they let out howls of agony. The effect is pretty good. Satan, having activated the Tree of Life's power for the first time, thought to himself with smug satisfaction. So you're a devil fruit user, no wonder you're so confident. The bald man's voice came from within the vines. But you're underestimating me too much. His muscles tensed instantly, and he exerted force suddenly. With a loud bang, the vines binding him exploded inch by inch. Bring on whatever other tricks you have. Useless indeed. Asteth snorted in dissatisfaction. You've truly disgraced the Douglas family. Sejun added fuel to the fire, eager to stir up trouble. Satan's face darkened with embarrassment and anger. He vanished from his spot the next second, reappearing in front of the bald man. You mere extra, why don't you just obediently let me kill you? Stop acting like a big shot. He kicked the bald man away in a flying kick, then caught up with him in mid-air, grabbed his head with one hand and slammed it hard on the ground with a loud boom, creating a large crater in the floor. Then came a series of punches landing with a series of thuds, and blood splattered everywhere. Finally, having had his fill of beating, Satan straightened up, stepping on the bald man's almost unrecognizable head, and slowly and methodically wiped the blood from his hands with a silk handkerchief. He adjusted his glasses with his hand and muttered to himself. Indeed, might makes right. Doyle nearly dropped his jaw in astonishment. It turned out this polite young man was the real ruthless character. He respectfully led Satan and his entourage to the auction house entrance and then fled as if his life depended on it. God knows, nobody likes being around these two siblings with devils living inside them, the pressure is immense. What a useless coward! Jakin glanced disdainfully at Doyle as he left, then turned back and asked, how about I create chaos with magic, you guys sneak in, steal the devil fruit, and leave immediately. Why? Esteth asked coldly, clearly deeply dissatisfied with Jakin's constant display of roguishness. Didn't you say we should try not to cause any trouble, so as not to bring shame to the family? That's why we had to sneak in, Jakin replied. Don't you know there's something called money in this world? Esteth tossed a handful of berries to the guard at the door and swaggered into the auction house. Xiejian could still faintly hear her say 2 words when she entered the room. A bumpkin. Chapter 8. Satan and his companion entered the auction hall and sat down in the front row. At this time, the auction had not yet officially started, and guests were gradually entering. Because it was a black market, most of the guests wore masks and large robes to conceal their glamorous identities in the sunlight. The rear half of the auction hall consisted of individual private boxes, clearly reserved for truly important figures. 2 guards stood watch at the entrance to each box, totaling 30 guards for the 15 boxes. Only a small portion of the seats in the hall were occupied, while no fewer than 20 knights in armor patrolled the aisles. Nearly 100 fully armed warriors guarded the shadowy areas and corridors surrounding the hall. If we add in the powerful figures secretly overseeing the operation, the security for this black market auction is extremely tight. The auction began soon after, and a woman with a captivating figure walked onto the auction stage. She wore a low-cut evening gown that accentuated her deep cleavage, swaying slightly. Her hair was styled in an elaborate aristocratic updo, making her appear both glamorous and elegant. It was none other than Karina, who had long been in charge of the auctions for the Hussein family. Karina clearly had extensive auction experience and knew how to engage the customers. She slightly bowed, coughed lightly, and deliberately tucked her arms into her chest in a gesture of respect. Some of the customers below immediately became breathless, and the sound of them swallowing could even be clearly heard. However, Satan's attention was clearly not on the auction. He leaned back lazily in his chair, appearing nonchalant, but in reality, he was secretly observing the patrolling guards around him. When he saw that the guards had retreated to the corners of the hall because the auction had begun, he visibly breathed a sigh of relief. "Are you all right?" Esteth glanced at the slightly nervous Satan, then took his small hand with concern. "If it's not working out, we'll just buy it. Don't get any dangerous ideas." Satan gave a forced smile. "Sure enough, no matter how perfect your idea is, you still feel a little nervous when it comes to actually doing it." However, his inexplicable sense of pride prevented him from using his family's money to buy a devil fruit, even though he knew that the King of Denver would not refuse if he simply asked. Perhaps, having been reborn with memories of his past life, he will inevitably feel somewhat estranged from his family in this life. His soul was too vast, so silent that only echoes remained. A jumble of thoughts flashed through Satan's mind. He turned to Esteth, a resolute glint in his eyes, and said earnestly, word by word, "Sister, I want to take what I want with my own strength." Esteth suddenly tightened her grip on his hand, her expression serious yet unusually tender. "Satan, you must remember, your family is also your strength. Although I don't know why you made this decision," Esteth paused for a moment, "your decision is my decision." "Okay, let's proceed according to plan then." Satan was nestled in the chair, the shadow of his cloak obscuring most of his face, making him appear somewhat sinister, and no one could see his expression at that moment. The auction proceeded at a leisurely pace, and finally, the final, most anticipated item was presented. Karina took the tray from the servant and placed it on the auction table. She gave everyone a charming wink before smilingly lifting the red cloth covering it. On the tray were 2 glass boxes, containing the very devil fruits that Satan had targeted. Satan's expression turned serious. He clasped his hands together and unleashed his full power, a mysterious force spreading outwards from the ground beneath his feet. Wood Spirit Secret Technique, Man-Eating Flower Valley. Just as everyone's attention was drawn to the devil fruits on the auction stage, Satan suddenly stood up and roared. The ground of the entire auction house instantly churned, and countless enormous man-eating flowers surged out from the ground. Each flower was 5 or 6 meters tall, with a mouth large enough to swallow a person whole, revealing ferocious sharp teeth. Saliva dripped from their mouths onto the ground, emitting wisps of blue smoke and corroding pits of various sizes. As soon as they appeared, they rushed to bite the nearest people. Some unlucky ones were torn into pieces in an instant, splattering blood all over the ground. Some unfortunate ones were even swallowed whole by the man-eating plants, making a terrifying chewing sound. The entire auction house instantly descended into chaos. The guards and warriors maintaining order were thrown into disarray, scrambling to dodge the attacks of the carnivorous plants around them. Auctioneer Karina was also stunned by the scene before her, frozen in place. Taking advantage of the chaos created by Satan, Asteth quickly approached the auction stage and drew her sword to strike Karina, who was closest to the stage. Although Karina was stunned for a moment, she reacted quickly and dodged the sword light, but was also forced away from the auction stage. At this crucial moment, a figure flashed onto the auction stage. It was none other than our god of thieves, Jachin. Then, in a flash of light, the devil fruit awaiting auction vanished. Auctioneer Karina was busy dodging Asteth's attacks and was powerless to stop Jachin's theft. A look of madness appeared on her face. She pulled a short knife from her long legs and, while blocking Asteth's sword flashes, let out a hysterical roar. "Who are you people, daring to cause trouble on Lord Hussein's territory? Are you looking for death?" Having succeeded, Jachin instantly returned to Satan's side. "Quick, retreat! Mission accomplished." Satan relaxed slightly, then clasped his hands together again to unleash a powerful attack. Wood Spirit Ultimate Technique, Vine Strangulation. Countless resilient vines spread, coiled, and strangled in all directions, hindering the enemy's pursuit and rushing towards the auction house exit. Seeing that Jachin had succeeded, Asteth launched a few quick attacks, created distance, threw out several ice spears to force Karina back, and took the opportunity to jump out of the battle and escape as well. The siblings joined forces, unleashing their full power and unleashing a series of powerful attacks, tearing through the samurai's encirclement and finally breaking out of the auction house. They fled towards the dock area, where they could catch a boat and leave, thus completing their mission. Just then, a loud shout came from the auction house behind them. "You've caused trouble on Lord Hussein's territory and now you think you can leave? You're being far too naive." A dark shadow approached like lightning, its body creating a sharp whistling sound. In an instant, it closed in on Satan, throwing a punch. Satan barely turned and tried to block with his arms, but was instantly destroyed by a tremendous force. The bones in his arms cracked and popped, and his body flew backward, crashing through several houses. "Die, you arrogant brat!" Before Satan could react, the shadowy figure closed in on him again, and a gigantic fist loomed large in his pupils. Just then, Asteth stepped in front of Satan, and the shadowy figure's fist landed squarely on Asteth. "No, sister!" Satan's vision was filled with Asteth's blood-spitting, flying backward figure, a blood-red blur, his eyes bloodshot. Chapter 9. "I'm so sorry, sister." The severely wounded Satan lay buried among the rubble of the broken house, his heart filled with deep regret. He had underestimated the power of the sea, and with only a little strength, he dared to challenge the order of the underworld. He had finally paid the price for his arrogance. Satan felt utterly powerless. His fighting prowess was utterly insignificant in the face of the shadowy figure's explosively destructive fist. Even his prized regenerative abilities were rendered useless by the immense depletion of his stamina, and Jaken was thus reintegrated into his body. Esteth lay unconscious not far away. She had stood in Satan's way several times during the battle and was now covered in wounds. Never before had he so craved power. The shadowy figure approached again, its clenched fist cracking menacingly, ready to end the lives of the young brother and sister. If I ever have the chance to live again, I will rule the entire ocean and never let my family suffer any more harm. Satan narrowed his eyes and made a deep vow. The sunlight gently shone on him, its warmth rippling softly. Even if I'm sad, I don't want to look too pathetic, he thought to himself. A dark figure stood before Satan, its massive body casting a shadow that obscured his vision. Farewell to the world, young man. Go to hell and repent for your arrogance. The shadowy figure's fierce fist slammed down towards Satan. That's not necessarily true. A figure flashed from afar, deflecting the attack aimed at Satan with a punch. Their clashing fists created a massive shockwave, sending Satan and the surrounding rubble flying into the distance. Having narrowly escaped death, Satan struggled to open his eyes. The person who came was his chief bodyguard, Titan. Never before had he felt that Titan was so majestic and powerful. The two figures violently separated and collided, their fists striking each other with a deafening roar like metal being smashed. Each punch tore through the air, creating a gust of wind and causing devastating damage. The entire street was shattered by the aftershocks of their battle. The next moment, the two separated again, their clothes now tattered and ragged, making them look quite disheveled. Titan glanced back at the badly injured prince and princess. Turning to stare at the dark figure, his expression was extremely ferocious. Nicholas, you've offended the Babylonian royal family, do you really want to die? Humph. They broke the rules themselves, so they can't blame me. This matter is settled. How about it? You don't really want to test the wrath of the King of Denver, do you? Nikolai hesitated. I can't explain that to Lord Hussein. They'll have to hand over double the stolen goods as compensation. That means there's nothing to discuss. Titan let out a cold snort, as if an invisible aura was spreading outwards, and the very air seemed to tremble. His upper body rapidly expanded, transforming into the shape of a giant ape, growing to over 3 meters tall, his entire body filled with explosive muscle mass, his aura surging ever higher. He is an ape man who ate the zoan-type great ape fruit, and at this moment he has transformed into an ape man form, with his physical strength greatly enhanced. In that case, prepare to die. Titan and Nicholas were locked in combat again. In his transformed state, Titan had the upper hand. Every punch made Nicholas's arms tremble, and his muscles felt as if they were about to shatter, forcing him to retreat step by step. Armed body, Great Ape King Cannon. Titan, in his ape form, was covered in armament haki and appeared in front of Nicholson in an instant, his fists clasped around Nicholson's chest. Nicholson's chest instantly collapsed, and his body was sent flying hundreds of meters. The enormous impact destroyed half a street through his back, creating a deep trench 100 meters long. Nicholson was knocked to the ground, severely injured. He struggled to his feet, coughing up large amounts of blood. Seeing no chance of winning, he turned and fled. Great Ape King Titan, this isn't over. Lord Hussein won't let you get away with this. Humph. He'd have to be bold enough to do that. Seeing Nicholson escape, Titan snorted coldly and did not give chase. He reverted to his human form, picked up the heavily injured Satan and Esteth, and quickly left Phuket Island. 3 days later, in the waters off Ren, a small boat, about 7 or 8 meters long, drifted on the sea. There were only 3 people on the small boat. Satan, who had been seriously injured earlier, was now jumping around and rowing the boat. There was no sign of the lethargy he had shown when he was injured. Esteth, her body wrapped in bandages, rested against the deck of the ship. Clearly, although she also possessed the dragon blood of the Douglas family, her regenerative abilities were no match for the monstrous Satan. Their uncle, Minga, lay lazily on the roof of the ship, basking in the sun. As he enjoyed the gentle caress of the sunlight, he issued commands to Satan. "Hurry up, little Satan! If you dawdle, we won't make it to Naga Island before dark. Do you want to spend the night on this wrecked ship?" "Hey! I'm working so hard, okay?" Satan, frustrated, swung the oars. "You're abusing a child. I'm still a minor." "Hey!" Mingjia sat up and glared at him. "What are your opinions?" "No, absolutely not." Satan shamelessly admitted defeat and continued rowing the boat very fast. "That's more like it." Mingjia lay down contentedly. "Don't think I'm bullying you, paddling is a form of training too." After a moment of silence, Satan suddenly looked at Myaga. "Uncle, I have a question I'd like to ask you." "Speak." "That day on Phuket Island, my sister and I were completely and overwhelmingly defeated by our opponents. I wondered what level my strength would be at on the high seas. The fact that you can ask this question shows that you've learned your lesson." Mingjia sat up, jumped down from the top of the boat, patted Satan on the shoulder, and sat down next to Satan. "Then I'll tell you in detail about the strength levels at sea. I was originally planning to tell you this after we went to Naga Island to train." Satan pricked up his ears, sat up straight, and looked serious. Clearly, he no longer wanted to suffer the consequences of ignorance. Esteth, in the cabin, also quietly sat up. "Because there are countless races on the sea, with diverse fighting styles and various strange devil fruits, battles are full of unpredictability. Therefore, to be precise, there is no universally accepted standard of strength on the sea. However, people have long held a high regard for naval ranks and bounty posters," Minga continued. "Within the Navy, there are petty officers, lieutenant officers, field officers, and admirals. Each promotion represents a higher level of strength. And for pirates, naturally, the higher the bounty, the stronger they are, and the greater the threat they pose to the world government. Satan, if we're talking about combat strength, you're comparable to a naval lieutenant, while as Death, you're at the lieutenant colonel level. As for Nikasan, who defeated you, he was a commodore. The difference is too great. So, you two don't need to be discouraged at all. You're still young, and you're already exceptionally talented among your peers. As long as you work hard in your training, it's inevitable that you'll surpass him in strength," Mingjia concluded. Chapter 10. After listening to Myaga's explanation, Satan and Esteth exchanged a glance, both sensing the determination in each other's eyes. "That Titan guy must be at the Vice Admiral level, right? I saw him defeat that Nicholas. And what's your rank, uncle?" Mingjia pondered for a moment, as if assessing Titan's combat strength. After a pause, he said, "In terms of physical skills alone, he should be at the same level as Nikosan, a brigadier general. Adding his devil fruit ability and haki, he'd be about the level of a regular vice admiral. As for my strength, you'll have a chance to find out later." "What is domineering?" Esteth asked a question from inside the cabin. "That's a bit too early for you guys, but since you asked, I'll give a brief explanation. Dominance is a latent power possessed by all humans. This power is an innate ability, similar to presence and intimidation, existing like an instinct. However, the vast majority of people are unaware of this power and never unleash it in their entire lives. Haki is divided into three types: observation haki, armament haki, and conqueror's haki. Ordinary people can acquire this power through training and can continuously strengthen it. In the Navy, vice admirals and other high-ranking officers are proficient in both armament haki and observation haki. Observation haki is the power to intensely sense the surrounding atmosphere, allowing one to detect enemies beyond their line of sight or even predict their movements. It's a form of mind reading, or you could say it's the power of hearing. As long as a person is alive, their body can emit special sounds. These sounds can be used to predict an opponent's next move and location. With training, this range can be increased. Those with higher levels of observation haki can use this ability to hear the thoughts of others and even give speeches. Through continuous training, observation haki can even lead to the ability to see parts of the future. Wow, that's amazing! Satan exclaimed in surprise. What about armament haki? Armament haki enhances an individual's defense, acting like an invisible armor. It can also be transformed into offensive power, allowing one to contend with devil fruit users and even touch the physical form of Logia-type devil fruit users. It can also be wrapped around weapons to amplify their attack power. While Conqueror's haki can intimidate or frighten enemies with its sheer aura, it can also harm those around it if not controlled properly. Conversely, if haki is mastered to a high level, it can exert a powerful, oppressive effect. This is the Conqueror's haki, possessed by only one in millions, the qualities of a king who stands above all others. Unlike the previous two, Conqueror's haki, even if one can control it freely, cannot be strengthened through training. It can only be enhanced through the user's own personal growth. Astetha's expression turned to shock, her sky-blue pupils contracting sharply, filled with astonishment and longing for the unknown ability. Satan, though already familiar with haki from his past life's memories, was still thrilled by Mayaga's explanation. Mingjia looked at the two shocked people with satisfaction, coughed lightly to draw their attention back, and spoke again. However, perhaps due to bloodline reasons, members of our Douglas family do not awaken Conqueror's haki. Ah! Satan let out a scream and stood up excitedly. How is that possible? We possess the bloodline of dragons, renowned for their unparalleled martial prowess. Sit down. Mingjia glanced at Satan with displeasure. Our bloodline is undoubtedly the strongest. Although we cannot awaken Conqueror's haki, there are historical records of members of our clan awakening Dragon's Might, a powerful force that is in no way inferior to Conqueror's haki. Dragon's Might. Just as Satan was about to continue asking questions, the sea suddenly churned violently, and a centipede-like sea monster, hundreds of meters long, emerged from the surface, stirring up waves tens of meters high, and rushed towards the small boat. Satan had never seen such a huge sea king before, and he was somewhat stunned. At this moment, Mingjia said, "No matter how much you talk about it, it's not as good as seeing it with your own eyes. Look carefully." Armament haki hardening. He raised his fist, and an invisible aura gathered at his wrist, turning his entire fist black, as if it were covered in armor. Shave, moonwalk. His body vanished from the small boat in an instant, and reappeared in the air the next second. He seemed to be walking on solid air, running through the air and rushing towards the Sea King in front of him. He approached the Sea King and punched it in the head. His height of less than 2 meters was like that of a tiny ant compared to the Sea King's length of over 100 meters. However, no one would think that way the next moment. A powerful force suddenly erupted from where he struck the Sea King's head, and a visible shockwave spread outwards. The Sea King's massive body twisted and deformed under this force, its muscles and bones were churned into a jumbled mess, and even the sea water beneath it collapsed, revealing a vacuum nearly 100 meters deep. The power of that single punch was terrifying. After the attack, Satan returned to the ship using moonwalk, as if he had only done something insignificant. The surging sea water ahead created huge waves, pushing the small boat quite a distance. After a long while, the sea ahead returned to calm, and the 100-meter-long corpse of the Sea King floated on the surface, reminding Satan and his sister that this was not an illusion. When Satan came to his senses, his gaze towards Mingjia changed, his eyes were now filled with admiration. Awesome! He could no longer describe his shock in any other language. Now that you understand the gap, you'd better train hard on Naga Island. Mingjia pushed Satan away with disdain. You know, those 100-meter-long Sea Kings are only considered small. To true powerhouses, they're nothing more than toys. Any admiral-level officer in the Navy could easily deal with them, it's not surprising. Satan lowered his head, his face darkening, and thought to himself, this is the ultimate level of showing off. You think you're that much of a naval admiral? He secretly gave Satan the middle finger. Mingjia stretched comfortably, pretending not to see his little action. Esteth took an oar and started rowing. Satan tried to stop her, but was refused. She looked earnestly at Minga. I will definitely become a strong person who will not be as powerful as you. Thanks to Esteth and Satan's efforts, the small boat braved the wind and waves and finally arrived at the ancient island of Naga before nightfall. Roars of beasts echoed from the depths of the island, accompanied by howling whines. Satan, who had just set foot on the island, couldn't help but shiver. A fervent smile immediately spread across his face. This was sure to be an interesting training experience. What, are you scared? Mingjia asked. No, I'm just shaking with excitement. Chapter 11. Luluka Island on the Grand Line. This is a small summer island, only 10 square kilometers in size. It is a private island belonging to the Hussein family and is also the headquarters of the Lion King organization, one of the dark forces that control the Grand Line. The island was covered with tall coconut trees, and only in the very center was a luxurious manor built, full of life, showing no sign of the deep-seated evil hidden beneath its dark surface. At this moment, in a secret room underground in the manor, the lights flickered dimly. A figure hidden in the shadows lay comfortably in a rocking chair, eyes slightly closed, expression serene. Meanwhile, Nicholson, who had previously displayed his might on Phuket Island, was now kneeling respectfully on one knee, reporting something to him. After he finished speaking, the figure still did not react. Nicholson secretly looked up and tried to see something from the figure's face, but he found nothing. Adult. Nicholson tentatively called out. The figure sat up slightly, glanced at Nicholas, and let out a cold snort. His face suddenly turned stern, and his eyes shone with a gloomy light in the flickering candle light. In other words, you let them go. His voice was slightly hoarse, and he leaned forward slightly, exuding a strong sense of pressure. And without making them pay any price. It was my fault, Lord Hussein. Nikolai understood that Lord Hussein did not want to hear any explanations. No one can take anything from me without paying a price. Understand? Should we send someone to assassinate him? What good would this do us? It's not a wise choice to needlessly provoke a powerful kingdom. Hussein glared at Nikolai, then muttered to himself, we at the Lion King organization don't do unprofitable business. Are we just going to let this go? This auction has already become a laughing stock among the underworld. If we can't get revenge, the Lion King organization's influence in the shadows will be greatly diminished. Nicholson asked unwillingly. He didn't believe that Lord Hussein wouldn't understand this principle. Most importantly, if the organization hadn't intervened, he would have had no chance to wash away his shame. Stop your scheming, Nicholas. Remember, the Babylonian kingdom has at least 2 near-general-level powerhouses. They have no chance against us in a direct confrontation. Hussein lowered his voice and let out a cold, owl-like laugh. However, even the strongest lion has its moments of weakness, and this matter won't just end like this. On Naga Island, a fire was burning fiercely near the coast, where Satan and Esteth were roasting food. Behind them lay the carcass of a triceratops that was over 10 meters long. What's going on with this island? How could there possibly be dinosaurs here? As Satan roasted the food, he uttered incredible exclamations. You don't even know this? It seems you haven't been paying attention in your royal education classes. Minga suddenly appeared behind Satan. Wow, ah! Satan let out an exaggerated cry. Please don't just appear behind people, it'll scare them to death. TCH, brat. Mayaga sat down. Esteth, you tell him. Yes, due to the unusual climate along the Grand Line, there exist some islands whose ecosystems are still in their primordial state, collectively known as the primordial islands. Because of the harsh climate, they are unsuitable for habitation, so the creatures that can survive on the primordial islands are all extremely powerful beings. Asteth answered calmly. That's absolutely right, Naga Island is a typical ancient island. Mingjia's face showed a gloating smile. There are over 600 species of creatures on the island stronger than you, and deep within the island even reside overlord-level creatures capable of wielding haki. Therefore, starting tomorrow, your good days are over. Set up a simple campsite by the sea, as most animals on the island don't like coming to the shore, so it's safe here for now. You will need to venture deep into the island to fight every day, returning to camp at night to rest and recover your strength. I will guide you here for a month. Then, you must remain here until you can single-handedly defeat a dominant creature deep within the island before the trial is considered complete. Understand? Understood. Satan and Asteth said in unison. By the way, Satan, there's something you might not be comfortable saying, but I still want to ask you, why do you need an extra devil fruit? The truth is, a person can only eat one devil fruit. Eating a second one will cause them to explode and die, Mayaga asked solemnly. Satan hesitated for a moment, but then he remembered Asteth's repeated protection of him on Phuket Island, and he felt relieved. In this world, if he couldn't even trust his family, what was the point of living? Besides, when those dream figures are conceived later, they will find out sooner or later anyway. I know it sounds unbelievable, but the truth is that after I ate that mutated devil fruit, besides gaining the power to manipulate plants, I also gained an additional special ability. Satan had to find a way to make his explanation more plausible. What abilities? Asteth was also quite curious. In exchange for a devil fruit, I can use my life force to summon a powerful being from another world. What? How is that possible? Mayaga and Asteth were so shocked their jaws nearly dropped. And another world? How could that possibly exist? It's true. Another voice came from within Satan, and evil thoughts emerged from Satan's body, startling them once again. I am none other than the evil sight, the god of thieves from the realm of gods. With a shave, Mingjia appeared before Satan, grabbed Shijian's head, pulled him out of Satan's body, and examined him closely. There's nothing special about it. Satan, why can he stay inside your body? Mayaga was very curious about this. Although devil fruit abilities are incredibly diverse, such an unbelievable ability was truly astonishing. Let me go, UBD, you've offended me. Jaken struggled free from Mayaga's grasp and landed on Asteth's shoulder. I don't like rude men. Jaken glared disdainfully at Mayaga, then turned to Asteth and began to flatter her. You are the most captivating girl I have ever seen. Your sky-blue eyes are as pure as amber polished by time, your smooth skin is as delicate as a newborn baby's, and your vibrant red lips are as alluring as the first green sprouts of spring. From the moment I saw you, my heart was deeply pierced by your beauty. Please allow me to compose a sonnet of love for you. Stop, I don't like smooth-talking boys. Asteth stopped Jaken's long-winded explanation. But I accept your praise. Satan's lips twitched. He turned his head away, pretending not to recognize him. How utterly embarrassing. Also, why didn't I notice how arrogant you are before, dear sister? That explains your previous behavior, Mayaga said. Don't worry. I'll explain to your father. Also, I'll keep an eye out for devil fruit information through the world government. Just stay here and focus on your training. Yes. Chapter 12. Wrong view, may we begin conception now? The evil view flapped its wings and flew back to Satan's side. Actually, I started nurturing them the moment we obtained the devil fruits, but it requires a large amount of your stamina to convert into life force. Given your current physical strength, it will take at least half a month before they can be born. I'm really looking forward to it. I wonder just how strong these powerful beings from another world will be. Minga said with a smile. Then you may be disappointed. Due to the limitations of Satan's physique, the powerful beings born from it will not surpass Satan in strength, they will simply possess their own unique talents. The heretical view explained. Even so, I'm still looking forward to it. Alright, let's rest for now. The grueling training starts tomorrow. Just as Satan and his group arrived on Naga Island to begin their training, a piece of intelligence quietly spread among the underground forces. It is said that the Babylonian kingdom discovered a huge gold mine on the island of Naga and had already quietly begun mining it. The sea was turbulent, as a conspiracy against the Satan siblings quietly unfolded. Half a month later, on Naga Island, deep in the jungle, Satan was cautiously hiding in a large tree, panting heavily, his mind extremely tense. Although they were still on the outskirts of the island, there were simply too many powerful creatures around. He had just escaped a flying mantis's pursuit and was inwardly cursing. What the hell? What kind of mantis can unleash sword energy? That's ridiculous. After resting for a moment, he silently slid down from the tree and continued to slip deeper into the island. Jakin perched on his shoulder, looking relaxed and carefree. Just then, a sense of foreboding washed over him. Satan quickly leaped to the side, and a loud boom came from where he had just stood. He braced himself with one hand and sprang away, and a series of boom sounds came from behind him as a herd of small red calves, no bigger than puppies, shot toward him. This is a unique creature on the island, the Crimson Fire Bull. They live in groups and hunt together. Although they are small in size, they are extremely powerful. Each attack is like a small naval cannon shot, piercing the ground and creating a crater several meters deep. Satan dodged and weaved in a sorry state, narrowly avoiding the frenzied bombardment of the bull herd, repeatedly brushing past death. He could even smell the stench of each bull tearing through the air. Fortunately, the Crimson Fire Bulls could only launch one powerful attack at a time. After each attack, their bodies were buried deep underground due to the immense impact, and it would take them a long time to crawl out and prepare for the next attack. This gave him a chance to catch his breath. Hey, Satan, this is so much fun. I absolutely love this thrilling battle royale. Jakin circled around Satan with schadenfreude. Although he had lost his divine power as the god of theft, short-distance teleportation was still a piece of cake for him, making it incredibly easy for him to dodge the attacks of these savage bulls. FK, I've had enough. Satan cried out in anguish, hiding isn't my style. Dragon Claw, hand cannon. The next second, he slightly bent his right hand, forming a dragon claw shape, and concentrated all the power in his body into his right hand. As a wild bull shot towards him, he leaped high into the air and viciously rammed into it head-on. With a loud bang, Satan was knocked back 4 or 5 steps by the bull, while the bull, which had been attacking him, flew back at an even faster speed, crashing through more than a dozen large trees and sending dust billowing up. More and more Crimson Fire Bulls surrounded them, making their situation even more dangerous. Satan frowned, recalling the 6 powers taught by Mayaga. The defensive technique paper drawing allows one to dissipate all their strength and, by observing the changes in airflow created by the opponent's movements, narrowly evade attacks aimed at them, making it ideal for defending against group attacks. Satan closed his eyes slightly, and the world seemed to quiet down instantly. He could more easily sense the changes in the airflow around him, and even perceive the swaying of the leaves around him. A bull shot down from a distant tree, causing a subtle tremor in the air. Satan keenly sensed this change, and just as the bull was about to strike him, his body completely relaxed, as if it had lost its weight, dodging the bull's impact like a piece of paper. More bulls shot in from different directions in succession, and Satan felt the subtle fluctuations in the air currents. His body swayed as freely as a piece of paper in the wind, narrowly dodging all attacks. This was paper drawing, one of the 6 styles, a high-level physical technique within the world government, and also the prototype of observation haki. The surroundings finally quieted down. Most of the bulls that had just finished their attack were buried in the ground by their own powerful impact and were temporarily unable to attack again. Satan then relaxed and caught his breath. "I have good news, Satan." Just then, the evil vision on his shoulder suddenly spoke. "What?" Satan was very curious about what important news could have made Evil View interrupt his battle. After half a month of gestation, they are now ready to be born. "Really? That's a pleasant surprise." Satan was absolutely ecstatic. "Should we summon them to appear now?" "Of course, I've been eagerly anticipating it." With an expression that said, "I knew this all along," Xiejian said, "Let's begin." Call of life. He became more serious than ever before, crossed his arms, muttered incantations, and hovered in front of Satan. A massive amount of life elements in the air rushed toward him, and the surrounding trees withered and turned into fine powder, which drifted in the wind. A vibrant green summoning circle appeared in the air before him, its shape a complex six-pointed star. The center of the six-pointed star was filled with a dense, misty life force. Suddenly, Satan felt his strength drop instantly, his body feel empty, and he couldn't help but slump to the ground. He looked up and saw two blurry figures gradually emerging on the summoning circle. They were 1.3 meters tall and looked to be two little girls around 8 years old. The little girl on the left is wearing a purple school uniform and has waist-length hair. She wears a bright red belt and tie, and red arm guards. In her right hand, she carries a katana with a crimson scabbard, the hilt of which is engraved with intricate runes. Her expression was aloof, her features exquisite, but what was most striking were her piercing, crimson eyes. A single glance seemed to draw you in, captivating all who looked into them. The little girl on the right is also wearing a similar black school uniform, but her hair is shorter, only reaching her shoulders. She also has a similar-looking katana in her hand, except that the scabbard is black. She has the same adorable face as the little girl on the left, beautiful enough without makeup, but what makes her completely different from the little girl on the left is her pair of dark, ink-black pupils. Chapter 13. They are Akame and Kurom, the twin sisters from the world of Akame Ga Kill. Akame, the older sister, is the ace of the assassination organization Night Raid. She wields a katana called the Imperial Arm One-Hit Kill Murasame. If you are cut by this sword, you will be infected with accursed poison from the wound and die quickly. There is no antidote. While powerful, it also has weaknesses. Akame must be extremely careful when holding it, as a cut to the finger is instant death. In battle, the spell will not work if the opponent cannot be directly struck. Her younger sister, Kurom, is a member of the Imperial Capital's Special Police Force, the Hunters, and possesses the Imperial Arms March of the Dead. Hakafusa. She can manipulate those killed by this sword through curses, and can control up to 8 corpse puppets. The puppets are in the same state as when they were alive and can move freely. Its weakness is that the more corpses Hakafusa manipulates during the activation process, the more it reduces the host Kurom's own abilities, and after the abilities are deactivated, she will become an ordinary corpse. Young Master. They stepped out of the summoning circle and shouted in unison at Satan. Ah! Welcome, my family! Satan struggled to his feet, his eyebrows curving with joy. Though he looked dejected, he couldn't hide his delight. We can talk about welcoming them later, the next wave of attacks from the bull herd is about to arrive, Jaken warned. Whatever the enemy is, just cut them down. Akame said coldly, casually slicing through an attacking bull. Leave it to us, young master. Black eyes, he said, raising his sword. 2 enormous corpse puppets appeared before the crowd. They are 2 members of the 8th chamber of the Black Eyes, Destaga and Caesar the giant frog. Destaga was a super dangerous species used as material for an imperial arm, a colossal monster with astonishing destructive power. Kaiser Frog, on the other hand, is a large frog-like dangerous species, containing a powerful dissolving fluid in its abdomen. The bull herd attacked again. Destaga stood in front of everyone as a human shield. The bulls, which could blast deep craters into the ground, charged at Destaga as if it were a tickle. With a casual wave of its paw, it sent several crimson fire bolts flying. The Caesar frog lagged slightly behind, spewing out streams of dissolving liquid that knocked down the charging bulls from the air. The bulls landed on the ground with a sizzling, corrosive sound. It also occasionally extended its tongue, which was dozens of meters long, to wrap around and devour several bulls. With their obstruction, even if any manage to escape, they will be easily eliminated by Akame. You're really capable. Satan was reduced to a mere spectator, unable to resist offering his praise. The battle ended quickly, and the bull herd that had caused Satan considerable trouble was easily dealt with by the two sisters. Take a rest, young master. Black Eyes patted Satan's shoulder with great consideration, observing everything around him in amazement. Okay, then let's rest here for a while. Satan casually replied that he had been drained of too much energy the moment the two sisters descended, and he was still somewhat listless, feeling completely drained. No, we can't rest here. Akame looked at the chaotic battlefield around her, sniffed the bloody smell in the air, and calmly stopped them. The stench of blood here is too strong, it could easily attract even stronger predators. Young master is unwell and needs rest. We should avoid unnecessary battles. I admire your wisdom. Jaken flapped his wings and flew in front of Akame, trying his best to make his presence known. I agree with Akame's assessment, Satan said. Then let's leave here as soon as possible. Yes, young master. Kuroheim responded cheerfully. Wait me a moment. Akame returned to the battlefield, selected several intact carcasses of crimson fire bulls, and then followed. Hey! What use are these corpses to you? Jaken was very puzzled by Akame's behavior. I'm very interested in their meat. As he spoke, Chi Tong seemed to be drooling, his crimson eyes gleaming. These little guys have such explosive power despite their tiny bodies, their muscle strength must be incredibly high. They would be absolutely delicious grilled. Forward. Satan suddenly felt like he'd pulled a muscle in his back. Is now the time for you to show your foodie side? You were acting so reliable just a moment ago. Watching Akame painstakingly select the succulent parts of the meat, attempting to take away more prey, Satan approached her with a wry smile, and with a wave of his hand, he collected all the wild bulls into his inner space. Hey? Who touched my flesh? Akame looked completely flustered. Hey! Hey! Don't worry, I've collected them all for you. We'll retrieve them when we get back to camp. That's more like it. Watch out for a sneak attack. Just then, Jaken shouted, interrupting them. A beam of green light shot straight toward Satan. Akame reacted quickly, stepping in front of Satan the instant Jaken shouted, and drew his sword to slash at the green light. A crisp, metallic clang rang out, and the green light shot out, landing not far away. It's that flying mantis. I didn't expect it to catch up again, Jaken said in surprise. Red Eyes, be careful. That guy is troublesome, he can unleash blade energy, Satan warned. Before encountering the Crimson Fire Bull herd, Satan had been constantly chased by it and suffered considerable losses. Leave it to me, young master. Akame answered confidently. I have a lot of experience hunting dangerous species. She pressed forward, holding the Murasame sword at a 45-degree angle, in a defensive stance. Her steps were small, as if afraid of startling the prey, but in reality, it was to be ready to deal with any impending strike. Just as she herself said, she was indeed very experienced in hunting. The mantis seemed to sense the threat as well, flapping its wings at an extremely fast speed and rubbing its forelimbs together, producing a threatening, scathing sound. Suddenly, the mantis charged forward, raising its scythe-like forelegs high and slashing at Akame. Akame slightly turned her body, using her right foot as the center of her turn, and deflected the mantis's attack diagonally, carving a chasm more than 10 meters long in the ground. Spinning slash! She spun around once, slashing the flying mantis that passed by her and sending it flying, smashing through a large area of trees. Did you take them down? Black Eyes asked. It's not that simple. Sure enough, the next second a green light shot out from the forest again, whipping up a burst of blade-like light that shattered tree trunks into pieces of wood chips wherever it passed. Akheim's expression turned serious. He held Murasame horizontally in front of him and charged forward. A layer of visible black energy emanated from the blade, which was the thick resentment formed from the corpses that Murasame had absorbed. True funeral. Akheim and the flying mantis passed each other, a flash of light appearing as they passed. Then she stopped and slowly sheathed Murasame. Behind her, the flying mantis, still in flight, suddenly shuddered, a gash appeared on its chest, gushing blood, and it fell from the sky. Chapter 14. A gentle breeze blew, and the bright moon hung in the sky. The island appeared exceptionally tranquil under the night, a stark contrast to the noisy campsite. A welcome party for Akheim and Kurom is being held at the campsite on the coast. Hey, Akheim, give me back my flesh. You could hear Xiejian's shouts from a great distance. I'm just helping you taste it. Akheim put on an innocent expression, but I didn't expect it to be so delicious. I'll finish it for you. Yeah, elves should just stay vegetarian and behave themselves. Satan gloated from the side. Little did he notice that while he wasn't looking, Akheim had snatched a large piece of meat from his plate, quickly finished it, and then sat up straight, pretending nothing had happened. Wow, you young people are so energetic. I'm so envious. Mingjia looked at them with a smile. Then she turned to the silent Kurotami and asked, Little sister, why aren't you playing with us? Satan also turned around and saw that Kuriko was holding an empty bag with Kuriko's snacks written on it, looking dejected. Jaken flew over. Kuro telephoto, come and enjoy this delicious meal. It's a special welcome feast prepared for you all. Black Eyes ignored him and went straight to Satan, grabbing his sleeve with one hand and holding an empty bag in the other. She whispered, Young master, I'm out of snacks. I want some candy. Well, I thought it was something serious. Satan shrugged casually. How about I have the kingdom's guards send you a ton of candy tomorrow? Wow! Really? Akheim asked in surprise, her black eyes seeming to sparkle with gold, her mood instantly brightening. She shook Satan's arm, clinging to him. I knew young master was the best. Though it's disheartening to say this, I must remind you, Satan, that the kingdom will not provide you with any supplies during your trial. You will have to fend for yourself in everything. Mingjia wore a faint smile, but without hesitation, she interrupted their sweet talk. Hey? No way? But the candy is for Black Eyes, can't you make an exception? Satan asked unwillingly. No, you have to solve it yourself. Black Eyes became depressed again, tapping her index fingers together as if she had suffered a great injustice. Black Eyes, is it okay to eat honey? Esteth walked over, patted Kuroheim on the shoulder, and asked softly. Honey should be available on the island. Oh yeah, how could I not have thought of that? Satan exclaimed regretfully. Sister, you're the most reliable. Of course, Kuroheim replied cheerfully, her mouth practically drooling. It's decided then. Tomorrow, I'll take you guys to steal honey. Xiejian shouted excitedly. Since you're enjoying your time here so much, I won't stay any longer. I'll be returning to the kingdom tomorrow. Hey? Uncle Minga is leaving so soon? Didn't you say you'd be teaching us for a month? Satan asked in confusion. The world government has matters that require my attention. Anyway, I've already taught you dragon techniques and the 6 powers, so you can train on your own from now on. Also, I'll go out and see if I can get you any other devil fruits. While Satan and his followers were having dinner on Naga Island, the King of Denver was also enjoying his meal at the Royal Palace on Rain Island. "Your Majesty, General Gabriel requests an audience." A servant asked the king for instructions. "Come in," the King of Denver said in a strong voice. A young general entered, his head full of blonde hair and his imposing presence a striking sight. He was none other than Gabriel, the intelligence general of the Babylonian kingdom, known as the Lion General. "What is it?" the King of Denver asked. "Your Majesty, our spies have just reported that rumors are circulating in the underworld that we've discovered a gold mine on Naga Island, and some pirate crews who bought the information are already preparing to test the waters. Prince Satan and Princess Death are currently training on Naga Island. What should we do?" The King of Denver gently wiped his mouth with a tissue and said slowly, "Never mind them, let them do what they want. No matter how much those little bugs jump around, they're just playthings for the dragons. There's nothing to worry about." "Yes, Your Majesty," Gabriel answered, a moment of astonishment washing over him. He slowly retreated, wondering, who, then, is the dragon? The next day, Naga Island. After a long search, Satan and his crew finally found a large beehive. At this moment, they are discussing who should steal the honey. "I feel that Satan is the most suitable candidate," Asteth said without any mercy. "Why me?" Satan looked at Asteth in confusion. "It should have been Jakin who went, he's the god of thieves. Who told you to have the strongest physique and the best recovery ability?" Jakin gloated. "Even if you get stung by a bee, you can heal quickly. What kind of logic is this?" Satan exclaimed, jumping up and down. "Just because I have strong healing abilities doesn't mean I should go." "Yes," the others said in unison. "Besides, you're the only real man." Asteth gave Satan another reason. "Even those with wrong views are men," Satan muttered discontentedly. "No, he can only be considered half." Satan wanted to dawdle, but Black Eyes stared intently at him with innocent, large eyes, as if his refusal to go was a crime. They stared at each other for 3 seconds, and Satan finally gave in. Okay, I'll go." The others chuckled softly. Satan, carrying a large earthenware pot, ran swiftly towards the beehive in a distant tree. He leaped nimbly between the branches and reached the beehive in the blink of an eye. Just then, he was surrounded by a large swarm of bees that sensed the threat. "Young master, good luck." Encouragement came from below, emanating from both Red and Black Eyes. "I'm rooting for you, young man. This is a wrong view. Remember, when you run away, don't come in this direction." Is this really her biological sister? Satan felt like a million alpacas were stampeding through his mind. Despite the harassment from the swarm of bees, Satan quickly entered the hive. One bee after another attacked the invader to protect their home, stinging Satan and leaving large welts on his forehead and body. In a moment of quick thinking, Satan activated his powers, causing vines to grow from his body and wrap himself up, which made him feel a little better. Despite the swarm of bees, he managed to fill a clay jar with honey, then leaped down from the tree and fled into the jungle. A large swarm of bees relentlessly pursued him, while in the distance, the mournful cries of Satan echoed. "I think Satan is a really good person." Xiejian looked at Satan who had darted into the jungle and gave him a big good guy card. "I agree." Asteth replied. "I agree too." Akame said. "Kurotomi, what do you think?" Jakin asked Kuroheim, who hadn't answered. Black Eyes bit her finger and replied cutely, "I think the jar of honey that young master got will only last me a week." Chapter 15. 3 years ago, in Logue Town, Gold Roger, the pirate king who once possessed everything in the world, left behind a single sentence before his death, causing people all over the world to flock to the sea. "Want my treasure? You can have it if you want, go find it. I've left everything there." And so all people set sail, embarking on the Great Sea route, and the world ushered in the age of exploration. 3 years have passed, and more pirates are heading to the sea, chasing fame, wealth, and power. In recent months, news of the discovery of a huge gold mine on Naga Island by the Babylonian kingdom has been widely circulated among the underground forces in the Rain Sea. Numerous pirate crews, having received the news, flocked to the Rain Sea. After several earlier pirate crews suffered heavy losses at Naga Island, the news seemed even more credible. Far from being deterred, the greedy pirates' pursuit of treasure only intensified. Cane Island, the closest supply island to Naga Island, is now teeming with a large number of brutal pirates, turning the once peaceful island into a chaotic mess. At that moment, at the port of Cairn Island, a pirate ship slowly approached the shore, eliciting gasps of surprise from the crowd on the dock. Wow! It's the Ghost Cat Pirates! Another heavyweight pirate crew has arrived. That's right, their captain is Dark Cat Willow, with a bounty of 76 million. He's said to be a powerful pirate from the West Blue, who committed the atrocity of massacring islands before entering the Grand Line. However, he's not the strongest yet. Have you forgotten who's in charge on this island now? That's true. Lord Heroic Fist Increment is one of this year's pirate supernovas, with a bounty of 130 million berries. No wonder so many pirate crews rushed over as soon as he issued the summons. Captain Willow and a few of his men disembarked, ignoring the noisy pirate thugs on the dock, and headed straight for the Black Queen's Tavern on the island. Captain Willow, are we really going to listen to that guy Inspire? He's strong, but we're not weak either. I still think going it alone is more worthwhile. Valen, the vice-captain of the Dark Cat Pirates and a swordsman with a bounty of 60 million berries, said the Decapitator. Let's scout out the situation first. You see, the Kingdom of Babylon isn't just any country, it's a top-ranking power among the world government's member states. If the gold mine news is true, Naga Island must be heavily fortified. Didn't you see the advance pirate crew was completely wiped out? Captain Willow let out a cold laugh. He was always known for his composure, so why would he be the first to stick his neck out? Let's follow them and see. If we get a chance to fish in troubled waters, great, if not, we'd better slip away quickly. I have a bad feeling this trip won't be so simple. Understood, Captain. The pirate crew's officers answered in unison. On the shore of Naga Island, there was a scene of devastation, and a pirate ship was slowly sinking. This is never going to end. How many pirate ships are there now? Why are all the pirates heading to Naga Island? Satan said with a complaining expression. After more than 3 months of training, he had mastered the 6 styles and the dragon body combat technique, and his strength was no longer what it used to be. His body had become stronger, his skin was tanned a healthy wheat color by the strong sun, and he had reached a height of 1.4 meters. It was hard to tell that he was still just a little boy who was about to turn 7. This is the 7th pirate crew we've defeated this month, young master. Akame sheathed Murasame's sword and replied. She and Kurom have fully adapted to their new life. In these 3 months, they have also learned many new sword techniques from Esteth, and their strength has improved. I have a feeling there's a conspiracy going on. Normally, so many pirate crews wouldn't attack the same island so frequently, Satan mused. I certainly welcome their arrival. Jakin said with a grin, because he always managed to loot a lot of spoils from the destroyed pirate ships. Pang! Ouch! Why did you hit me? Satan covered his head, looking at Esteth with a puzzled expression. Who told you to act without thinking? I've already taken prisoners and interrogated them, Esteth replied. They supposedly received a tip from the underworld. Our Douglas family has discovered a massive gold mine on Naga Island. How is that possible? Satan asked in confusion. Someone is probably spreading rumors to harm the Douglas family. The main point is, Naga Island will definitely be welcoming even more and stronger pirates soon. Esteth said gravely, this island is very dangerous now. So what? On this island, whoever comes will be our prey. Satan, with a look of eager anticipation, said, "Perfect timing, I'd like to test my recent training progress. Then prepare for a hunting game." Esteth concluded. Her expression was indifferent, as if she wasn't worried at all about the challenges ahead. "We love hunting games the most, young master." The red-eyed and black-eyed figures spoke in unison. "I can smell the spoils of war." Meanwhile, on Cane Island, at the Black Queen's Tavern, a Pirate Alliance conference is underway. Inside the tavern, numerous pirates raised their glasses and clinked them together, emitting boisterous laughter and occasional curses, creating a very lively atmosphere. However, the people on the first floor are all low-level pirates. The truly famous and prestigious great pirates are all on the second floor. One of the pirates, who was 3 meters tall and had an exceptionally muscular upper body, picked up his wine glass and stood up. "Thank you all for giving me the honor of gathering here together. Let's work together to pull off this job. I promise you will all receive your fair share." He is none other than this year's supernova pirate, the Hakan Increment, with a bounty of 130 million berries. "You're too kind. We've all come because of your reputation, Boss Quimin. Just give us your orders." A burly man, 2 meters tall, carrying a serrated broadsword on his shoulder, shouted. He is a lone pirate with a bounty of 85 million berries, waitress cares. "Yes, yes, it's because I believe in Lord Intima's strength that I came here," a bearded man replied in a coquettish tone, sending chills down the spines of those who heard him. He is the captain of the transvestite pirate crew, known as Transvestite Boxer Ann, with a bounty of 50 million berries. In addition, there are many other notorious pirates who responded, including the sniper Long Spear Bill with a bounty of 55 million berries, the fishman Strongman Shark Cockroach with a bounty of 30 million berries, and the long-armed tribal fighter Destruction Cannon Sybil with a bounty of 63 million berries. Because Thurman downed his drink in one gulp, smashed the glass with a crack, and shouted, "Then please, everyone, do as you please. We're setting off tomorrow, let's go to Naga Island and make our fortune." The other pirates joined in, creating a frenzied atmosphere. Chapter 16. 3 days later, on the shore of Naga Island, Satan and his companions were resting at the camp. Young master, a large group of pirate ships is approaching." Kurotami, who was on lookout duty, rushed over to report. "How many pirate ships are there?" "There are 31 pirate ships in total, and each ship has a different pirate flag, so the pirates must have joined forces. It seems we are about to face a war." Satan stood up, his expression disdainful. "Then let's proceed according to plan. First, go and greet them, then lead them into the jungle." At this moment, on the pirate ship led by the Pirate Alliance, the lookout at the top of the mast is reporting down. Thanks to Captain Thurman, there were no signs of military protection on the island, but there was a small camp with smoke rising from its chimneys. "Dock directly on shore and lower anchor," Inselman ordered, his fists clenched so tightly they cracked. "Captain, just in case, it would be best to send someone else to scout ahead. Even if something goes wrong, it won't be our own men who suffer the losses," a mustachioed pirate suggested. "After all, the previous pirate crews have all disappeared without a trace, we should be cautious." Inselman hesitated for a moment, then said, "Send the transvestite pirate crew to scout ahead, the rest of the ships to anchor and await news." "Yes, Captain, I'll arrange it." Subsequently, the transvestite pirate cruise ship broke through the crowd and continued to approach the island. Soon, Anne, the captain of the transvestite pirate crew and a transvestite boxer, landed on the shore with more than 100 of her crew. "Nothing special, is there?" Annie looked around the beach but didn't find anything unusual. "Men, 5 of you stay behind to guard the ship, the rest of you come with me." They continued deeper into the island, gradually approaching the jungle, when suddenly an ice wall tens of meters high blocked their path. "Hey, Captain, there's a wall ahead. It's made of ice. That's so weird. Boss, should we break it open?" The pirate henchman started making a fuss. Just as Captain Anne was about to lose her temper, 4 children suddenly appeared on top of the ice wall. "Hey! You little devils, who are you? Why are you blocking my way?" Captain Anne, with a full beard, stood on one tiptoe, made a heart shape with her hands above her head, and made a classic ballet move. She spun around several times on the spot and asked in a sweet voice. His men all took a step back. It was too humiliating. "I'm going to kill him. He's so disgusting," the evil spirit on Satan's shoulder cried out in grief and indignation. The 4 people who were posing at the top of the ice wall involuntarily staggered. "Being a transvestite isn't your fault, but it's wrong of you to come out and scare people. Damn it, don't you know this island is Babylonian territory?" Satan yelled angrily, his attempt to appear cool failing. "Oh, you're from the kingdom of Babylon?" It seems the intelligence was correct. Anne continued spinning in place, excitedly shouting, "I'm going to get rich! I'm going to get rich! Yo, yo! I've had enough of you, you're disgusting!" Satan couldn't help but curse. Akame and Kurom frowned, their eyes gleaming with an enigmatic light. "Weren't we supposed to be having a hunting game? Why did we encounter such oddballs? I felt the world was full of malice towards me." Hyote trial. Esteth was much more direct. With a wave of her hand, hundreds upon hundreds of ice spikes condensed in the air and shot towards the pirates. "It's definitely better to just eliminate anything disgusting." The pirates scrambled to avoid the ice spikes. Although Annie's actions were despicable, her strength was not lacking. With a shout of Okamakanjutsu, tornado, she spun rapidly, creating a whirlwind that blocked most of the ice spikes. Only a few pirates who were off guard were injured. Wood Spirit Ultimate Technique, Jujube Wood Assassination. Seeing his sister begin her attack, Satan roared and leaped off the ice wall, charging towards Annie. Countless crimson jujube wood thorns suddenly rose from beneath the pirates' feet. Many unprepared pirates were impaled, their corpses hanging in mid-air, splattering blood everywhere. Esteth and Akame then jumped off the ice wall and charged into the pirate group. As Kuroheim, who remained on the ice wall, swung her sword, the 8 houses members Dest Aga and Caesar the Frog descended upon the battlefield once more. Nadara, another member of the 8 houses, stood in front of her, protecting Kuroheim, who was the caster of the spell. With its enormous body and immense strength, Dest Aga could easily swat away several pirates with a single flip and a swing of its claws, while the pirates' attacks were completely ineffective against it. The giant Caesar frog spewed out streams of dissolving liquid, and the injured pirates instantly let out heart-wrenching screams. It would then extend its long tongue, scoop up a pirate, throw him into its mouth, and swallow him whole, leaving him utterly dead. The moment these 2 war behemoths descended upon the battlefield, they inflicted heavy casualties on the Kama pirates. "That little girl is controlling the monster," the vice-captain of the transvestite pirate crew yelled, pointing at the black-eyed figure atop the ice wall. "Take her down! Yes, kill her!" Several powerful pirates charged toward Kuroheim in unison. "Don't even think about succeeding." Esteth blocked their path, wielding Durandal and weaving through the pirates. Those wounded by her sword energy were turned into ice sculptures, crashing to the ground and becoming frozen pieces of flesh. True spinning slash! True swallowtail slash! True funeral! Akame was also surrounded by many pirates. She nimbly dodged and weaved through the chaotic attacks, occasionally launching counterattacks. However, whenever she was even slightly injured by Murasame, black smoke would emerge from the wound, the cursed poison would take effect, and she would die instantly. Satan, however, stopped the transvestite boxer, Annie. Annie was skilled in transvestite boxing and was agile. Her body spun in circles, and she would throw a punch or kick, creating a loud bang as she punched or kicked. To test his strength, Satan refused to dodge even once, exchanging blows and martial arts techniques with Annie without any fancy moves. Their battlefield was filled with the resounding crack of fists striking flesh. Every now and then someone would be blasted away, crashing into the ground and creating a deep crater, only to collide with each other again the next second. In the distance, on pirate ships near the shore, lookouts who had spotted the battle reported to their captains, and one pirate ship after another lowered their anchors and approached the shore. Just then, a gunshot rang out from the mast of a pirate ship on the shore. Sniper Long Rifle Bill blew away the smoke from his gun and stood up. The black-eyed figure atop the ice wall felt a sudden tightness in his chest and instantly raised his sword to block. However, the bullet, imbued with domineering energy, was incredibly powerful. It not only easily pierced through Nadara's body, who was protecting the black-eyed figure, but even after being blocked by Hakafusa, it still managed to bloom into a bloody flower on the black-eyed figure's chest. Black Eye's body fell limply backward, and the invincible Dest Aga and Caesar Frog on the battlefield were instantly turned into two ordinary corpses. Dragon Claw, Siege Cannon. Seeing Black Eye's injured, Satan's eyes widened in fury. With a roar, he punched Annie, who was fighting him, sending her flying far away. He then rushed towards the fallen Black Eyes with lightning speed, picked her up, and dashed into the jungle. Retreat! Into the jungle! Asteth and Akame quickly left the battlefield and ran into the jungle. Chapter 17 Naga Island, a hidden cave deep in the jungle.
वीडियोस बनाने हैं, फिल्मोरा है ना?